So good afternoon, March 7, 2014. This is CISG113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy. Today is day number 7 in week number 4. Welcome back. Let me check what happened with this screen. Looks like they're not showing what it's supposed to be. So I'm going to do it one more time. Yes, here we go. So remember, this is week number 4, the last week of your first learning contract. And in the past 4 weeks, we are doing something which is called inquiry-based learning. And inquiry-based learning requires of each one of you to practice the process of observing a particular piece of information source, getting what is expected of you, what your interest leads to, and put it down as important observations in your journal. So observation is step number 1. And after observations in your journal, you need to move to the second important stage of interpretation. Okay, interpretation means asking questions of your observed data, and always form some basic ideas by writing one simple, complete sentence to represent the complete idea you obtain from the observed data. And at the end of gathering some observational data, at the end of putting forward some of the interpretations in the form of questions or complete sentences, you move to form your story to tell, which is your applications. Reflect on your interpretations and form your story to tell, the applications or lessons learned. So in the past 4 weeks, in each week, if you have been doing your work, you should have selected at least one question on each week's reading list, okay, to do your journal. And some of the weeks required you 2 questions, some of the weeks 1 question. So for example, in the first week, you have 2 questions. What is information security? What is information privacy? That means for each question to consider as one topic. In week number 1, you have 2 topics. And for each topic, you produce one set of observations, interpretations, and applications. So by the end of your journaling effort for this week, you should have 2 sets of OIA. One for what is information security, the other one is for what is information privacy. Okay? So, what about week number 2? If we move on to week number 2, in week number 2, we have 2 questions again. The first question is what is information technology? The second question is what is knowledge society? Now, if you have done your journal for this week, you should have 2 sets of OIAs, one for what is information technology, one for what is knowledge society. In other words, in this week, you have 2 topics, okay? Now, let's move on to week number 3. Week number 3, instead of 2 questions, you have 3 questions. What is ethics in the information age? What is social responsibility in the information age? What is digital divide in the 21st century? So each question, once again, represents one topic. For your journaling purposes, you need to produce one set of OIA for each of these 3 questions. So you should have 3 sets of OIA for this week if you have done it, okay? And finally, for this week, week number 4. If we go to week number 4, we come back to have only 2 questions. And 2 questions are, what is information literacy? What is information competency? So by the end of this week, hopefully by the end of today, or tomorrow, you should have finished another journal which contains 2 sets of OIA, one for what is information literacy, one for what is information competency. Now, when you prepare the learning artifacts for your first learning contract, what are you supposed to do, or what are you supposed to submit? So let's come to this. Learning contract number 1. Submissions. You are supposed to submit out of the 4 weeks of journals, that means 4 journals, at least 1 week's journal, you can choose. Choose week number 1, 2 sets of OIA. Choose week number 2, 2 sets of OIA because there are 2 questions there. Week number 3, 3 sets of OIA because there are 3 questions there. Week number 4, 2 sets of OIA because there are 2 questions there. Normally, if I were a student, I would not choose week number 3 because I have 3 sets of OIA to do. But if I were a conscientious student, that's the most interesting week, okay? So it's really up to you. I guess most of the journals will be centered around week number 1, 2, or 4, okay? So you just need to submit 1 week's journals. So normally I should expect 2 sets of OIA from each one of you for either week number 1, week number 2, or week number 4. Now if I could see some of you submit 3 sets of OIA, that must come from week number 3. Okay, so that we resolve the first item. The second item is you need to take 1 set of OIA out of the 4 weeks of your journaling effort. 1 set of OIA means 1 topic, 1 questions OIA, and put it forth in the pair or 9 discussion forum so that you can engage your peer partner to discuss with you about your set of OIA. Remember, in a pair, if you put forward your set to engage your partner, you have the same responsibility to be engaged by your partner to discuss his or her set of OIA, okay? So, in other words, what you need to do is at the end of your pair-based discussion for your topic and also for your partner's topic, you take the discussion details of your topic between you and your partner take the discussion details of his or her topic between you and him or her. And you can just copy and paste into your Microsoft Word document, the same as for your journal. And then you can submit that Microsoft Word document as your discussion detail. There is nothing more you can do. Just copy and paste here, right? And then we move on to item number 3, is a written report. This is a report which comes from the discussion detail of the 2 topics. So in your pair, you have 1 topic which belongs to you and the other topic which belongs to your partner. So based on the discussion details of 2 topics and based on the 2 sets of OIA, 1 for each topic, you're going to come up with a simple, concise report, which is again the set of OIA for each topic. Now, you do not need to write very long. No, I'm not going to read long report. Normally, such a report will occupy not more than 6 pages, okay? A4 paper, okay? Not more than 6 pages. Because you might need some space for your 2 sets of OIA, 1 for each topic, and some conclusion space, some space for your references, okay? So you need to follow the guidelines over there. Click on this guideline, and you can see what should be in your report. Now, after you 2 have finished your report, then each one of you in your pair need to come out of your learning experience by writing a reflective blog. A blog is a simple essay on the topic of your choice, okay? Now this time when you write it, Do not just copy from what you got in your report. Make it simple, make it concise, make it up to the point. It should be a shortened versions of your report. Okay? That is your refracted blog. If anyone would like you to share with him or her your learning on that topic you have chosen, it's the blog you want him or her to read. Okay? So it's a very important step. If you go back, the journal is your raw data. The discussion detail is the intermediate product based on the raw data. The report is the final product, and your blog is the masterpiece of your topic, how you can express yourself in terms of the knowledge acquired. And then you also need to prepare your proposal, individual. Each one of you in your pair must produce a proposal. A very simple one-page A4 paper is enough. Your proposal must include a topic of interest that you really want to do some more study. Okay, you include the name of the proposal, followed by 3 essential questions. Simple, not long questions. Simple question. Based on what? Based on where, based on when, based on why, based on how, and based on who and whom, okay? Normally, it's a very interesting proposal that you want to discuss with your learning partner and also for the whole class. And then 3 to 5 relevant references for that proposal. That's something you want to learn, to do a study on. And 1 paragraph, which is not more than 200 English words, to explain the significance of your topic. Okay? That is, each one of you need to produce that. Now you have to do it nice and neat. Name of the topic, 3 points, each one is a question, and then 3 to 5 references in APA style, and then the short paragraph, not more than 200 words, definitely. Not more than 200 words means it could be below 200 words. And then you need to produce at least 1 meeting record. Okay, we call meeting minute, between the 2 of you in your pair over the 2 weeks time when you were together to discuss about a topic. And then you can follow the meeting minutes examples here to write your meeting minutes. Okay, this is a very important step to get you started to do teamwork. Now, having said that, this is your first learning contract. It's meant to be a very important learning experience for you to see how you can manage this amount of work in the period of 1 learning contract. The next learning contract, which starts next week, is called learning contract number 2. Instead of 4 weeks time, learning contract number 2 has 3 weeks. Okay? 3 weeks. And you're going to do something similar to that. But one distinction between learning contract number 2 and learning contract number 1 is, beside pair work in learning contract number 1, in learning contract number 2, you will have the opportunity to work in teams, or better say, in a team. And a team is formed by 2 pairs. Okay? 2 pairs. Okay? Now, I just have 1 simple limitation for this class. In this class, I have 2 pairs. They have 3 persons. Okay? So I will not allow these 2 pairs to pair together to have 6 persons. I will only allow 1 such pair to be paired together with a 2-person pair. Okay? That will be much easier to handle. Okay? At most 5 persons per team. Okay, so I think that is a review of what you need to submit starting from tomorrow, and the deadline for the first learning contract is next Monday evening at 11:55. Okay, so you have 3 days time to do your submissions. How do you submit them? remember, now that you have to submit your work, and most of these work are done online in your journal, in your discussion forum, you have to do copy and paste the journal, the discussion forum material, into separate Microsoft Word documents, okay? And with that done, you can submit, that means upload your Microsoft Word document for your journal, Microsoft Word document for your discussion forum details, Microsoft Word document for your report, and a Microsoft Word document for your refactored blog, a Microsoft Word document for your individual proposal, and a Microsoft Word document for the meeting minute. Okay? So where can you submit them? Okay? So if you come back to the website, you do see that in the upcoming events, there are links for those individual items here. All together, 6 items. Okay, all together, 6 items of interest. All right? So these items, or what we call the submission links, are actually installed at the very end of the Moodle environment underneath the CISG113 section 1 submission links for the learning contract number 1. Altogether, there are 6 individual links. 1 for the submissions of 1 item. Okay? So you need to go there, click on the mouse button, capture your document, or whether it's selected document, and upload this to the system. Okay? At the end of your upload, if it is successful, you can see your documents is uploaded right there for you to take a look at. And I can see that immediately. Okay? So make sure you do that. But at the end of your upload, make sure you will press the button which is called Submit for Marking. Now, if you do not press the button for Submit for Marking, that means you still want to take it back and upload another version, which is supposed to be a final. Okay? But if you have already done it and there is no change in your uploaded file, you have to make sure you press the button called Submit for Marking. Alright? So then I will take this to do the grading. Alright? So, having said this, let's say the time now is already 5:55. Let me get back to the theme of this week, which is week number 4. So this week, we have a mission that conquers. We need to help you understand the meaning of information literacy, and then information competency. Now, I will give you time to discuss in a minute, and actually today we have students who would like to share. Last class, we helped you to understand the implications of information literacy. In this class, I want you to understand the meaning of information competency. Now let's go back to look at what is meant by information literacy. In Chinese, we call it 知識素養. In English, its interpretation is the state of being literate. The state of your being literate in the use of information. Okay? So we say, as of last time, we introduced to you the idea of there is a need on your side, you want to solve that problem. In order to solve the problem, you need to look at information. So you access different kind of information. But there's so much information that comes out of your simple access, you need to exercise evaluation. And at the end of the evaluations, you want to use the information to import. And we say you must give credit to your source. And that is a matter of ethics. So today, we want to see how we can do that if we do not know what we are supposed to do. So information competency perspective is, from a student's point of view, what exactly am I doing when I'm solving that information problem that I would consider that I have acquired the competency, the skills of information literacy. So we go back today to the idea of discover information literacy, and hopefully with that done, when you look at day number 7's important topic, including how do you start your research assignment? Now that I know what I want, how do I find what I need? And giving a shout out to your sources and understanding information literacy from the lens of student experience. Okay? These are very important. And finally, if you want to get a little bit deeper, there are 12 videos here called Essential Information Literacy, produced by Dr. Bob Baker. Very useful video. So now get yourself ready. Pay attention to the video which I'm going to show you and learn the idea of discovering information literacy. All right? It's okay. Silent reading is much better. have a happy chance that the sound system does not work. So you got some silent moment to observe these very interesting videos. Now I would like each table to engage yourself for at most 5 minutes of tabletop discussions based on the idea of what exactly is meant by information competency based on what this video has said. How much of this competency has each one of us encompassed on our work before, or better say, on our learning before? How many of you have actually used how many of those steps in your previous learning over secondary school? Because that is the most important skill for a person to grow up with. Now, think about this. What is meant by discover? Okay? For each letter in the word discover, how much do you understand it? So come up with something. It's a mini version of an OIA process in 5 minutes. Okay? So I'm trying to do something on your own. Let me turn on the light please. You're free to talk. I will take attendance. In the meantime, to save some time. And remember, today we have some students who would like to do the sharing. Feel free to talk. 5 minutes for your OIA discovery process. So we have Julia and we have Amelia. And then we also have Peter. So we have 3 students who would like to share today. After your discussion, you'll have plenty of time, okay? What do you think of your competency based on the discovery video, okay? What do you think? So I always pass the microphone. So maybe it's the ladies first.
Give you a chance to earn more points. And then ladies. Okay. Day number 6. The more you talk, the more you
You need to form this link when you make your score. This is actions. Very good.
don't worry.
You must use the label to make your score. Okay. And if you present something, and when after you say I did my presentation on a particular day, you use this label to verify it. So that is how you make your score.
Don't worry, it's
Right here, this is the box. I call week number 3. Okay, now this is week number 3. You see this is my message here. Okay, this presence requires after you have this required time I want to share, yes, you read week number 4. Today I'm going to issue a number 4 for next week. So you come to the public discussion forum for this week. You look at this message and you press reply. You want some message reply. Okay? And after you press reply, you type something. Later on, you need to produce a YouTube video for your presentation. Okay? And it's very simple. Just at home, YouTube, your video capture, and everything will be captured 100%. Yeah. It's a very no, don't worry. No one is going to watch this as well as these class. No, don't worry. Not you're not the only one. Get used to how to manage your security.
this is under
My name is I manage. You have to learn how to use video just time to post them. This is one time each of the options and we can do it. Is there any table like this? I have an idea for either your phone or the video tables. How you can capture the video look at one just do audience presentations, send the video to YouTube, wherever you go, just find the link. So that means you can always wait to not take it time and stay all day and stay what. Learning that not just one time. Okay, I think you have already done some discussions now. May I invite individual tables to help us to understand your perspective of information competency. So let's start with Ivy's table. So anyone from your table, would you please
stand up and introduce yourself. Hello.
Hi, I'm Mandy.
Manny, thank you. What do you think?
I think it's better. And this when you start saying pay attention, I really thought it would teach me how to do it well, but I think after this I'm a little disappointed.
Okay.
Disappointed because the video
Yes.
show just what I usually do.
Okay. So what exactly are those things you're usually doing? That's the core of the discussions.
I think maybe the main points on searching,
Searching,
collecting, and defend.
okay, you think about discover, right? So D for what? D,
Defend.
define.
Define.
Okay, so I, what is I?
Inquire.
Inquire, yes. And S? Search, right? And C, collect. And O, organize, very good. And V, verify, okay? So they're helping, it's okay. E, what about E? Express, yes, we need to tell someone. And what about the final R? Refract. So when we put together these discovery process, we actually have to do something on every step, right? So the question is, when you look back to your information competency, that means how many of those things to do have you been doing often enough that become your capacity or ability to get things done. So
Only searching.
searching is more, right? You seldom do. How can you search without understanding what you search, right? So we need to define our goal first, right? So maybe any other additional comment from the table? Okay, that's great. You pass it to the other table. You don't want your fellow student to get some scores out of it. Okay. Hello, Stopsy.
Hi.
Can you stand up?
I think the first step is very important. And when I search for things on the internet,
Yes.
we need to define what we are searching, and we must type the correct keywords
Okay.
in the engineering, and that's we can find out our information the most effectively.
Okay.
I think organization is also important for me, and
All right.
so we are doing our report, and we cannot just copy and paste to
Right.
the
Right.
report,
Yeah.
and
You need to organize, as you
yes,
say, right?
yes.
So what does it mean by organize? So in a sense,
So you understand the passage of the information.
Okay.
You make some. You file some points, and you discover the relationship of different points,
oh, that's very important.
so you can organize them. Yeah.
Okay, so the relationships among different pieces. So that require a lot of organizations. How many of you have not read the 7 o'clock news or 6:30 news? I guess all of you have watched news class, right? Chinese or English. In Macau, we have TDM, which is 7 o'clock news, right? And Hong Kong, we have 6:30 news, right? So what do you discover when you read the news? And how can you tell from your experience of reading the news that they are doing what DISCOVER is all about? Do you have any idea? First of all, do you believe we can all really tell you all the news in half an hour? No, right? So we know that these are not all the news that happen around us. And what do you discover when you read the half an hour news class? Normally, how many pieces of these news are from local? How many pieces of these news are from outside of Macau? And how far does it go? Did you count them? And then when you read the news story, have you ever counted the number of seconds they use to report on the news? I don't mean minutes. You know, when it's minute, that means it's very important. Normally it's less than 10 seconds or 20 seconds, and then one piece of news is gone. And normally, how do they do that 10 or 15 seconds of news? Mostly, do you see a person reading it, or do you see some video together with it? Video. Oh yes. So what does it mean in terms of DISCOVER? The discover, information literacy. Okay? And are you surprised when you read TDM's news, after you've read TVB news, or ADV news, or BBC news, they have something in common. And normally, it's not just in common, the story is almost the same. Are you surprised? Are they copying from one another? Are they plagiarizing? So what does it mean for DISCOVER? I'm trying to help you to understand something from a practical example, okay? Because normally, we just accept it as it is, unless we experience the process, okay? Later on, if we do have time, I really want to show you a very interesting documentary about newscast, okay? Or about correspondence during news. How do they do it? They actually doing a lot on DISCOVER. Okay? They try to manage all the news around the world. And then they want to spend very much. Sorry, I hope you it's very kind of you. So maybe the colleagues want to say something to this. If you say something, you can put a pause. So what I'm trying to ask you to think about is, we don't do something in the dark. We want you to do something with a clear objective in mind. If we do not know why we are looking for something, or what exactly we are looking for, watch out, it's very dangerous, okay? We need to have a clear idea. So when we read a piece of news, we also want to understand why is this piece of news important in the context of the local people, right? So, is it Lauren? Thank you. Do you want to share with us something?
I think every broadcast, the news has a little bit different.
Okay.
I mean, their standpoint is different. So,
You hit a very good point. You say their standpoints are different, right?
Yes.
So what does it mean by standpoint? You see what happened in Hong Kong this day? They asked for freedom of the press. We give it.
Yeah.
Okay, and someone had used 6 stabbing. Okay, and you know what this person is, right? Who did it? So why are they doing that? Don't they have freedom to do something? Are someone stopping them from doing news?
Maybe a big problem is forbid them the free press
To report on some standpoints based on facts, right? Okay, but how do you know they are facts? Yes. When only a small number of people have the information.
Yes.
Yes. So when we talk about discover information literacy, we are trying to see if we could help you to understand in a free world, each one of us should be able to experience the DISCOVER process. Yes. So, do you have anything to add?
To search and collect different news on every broadcast company. Yes.
That's what we do because we watch news every evening. But what I'm trying to tell you that it is just like buy a pack of rice. Okay? So, do you know why you can go to Park Shop and buy gumjar? Okay, gumjar right? Thai fried rice. And you can also go to Thai or Sunny to buy also something like this. So that means there is an agent who is they call it distributor, who will distribute these branded rice to different supermarket. So we can go to buy something similar. So in the context of news broadcast business, we also have some core news collector. We call these agents. They distribute news to different news agents. Reuters is one. And they actually sell them for continuous news. And those agencies have reported all around the world or collaborate all around the world every day. And they submit the news story to the central distributor. And every core news agency would subscribe to them to get the news. And that's why the original story is something like that. And then they add on viewpoints and add on editorial perspective. Okay? And that is the discovery process. So I think you're saying correctly about collect, organize, search, inquire, verify, express, and reflect. We all have to do something like this. Now let's not waste. Could you pass the microphone to the other table? So I give the other tables a chance to share with us. Yes, Peter, do you have something? Or yes, Gideon? Yes, hello, thank you.
Okay, just a simulation and the discovery, just a skill to using the scheduling engine to find what we actually want. And, yeah. So that if after discussions, we need for more understanding, we later found this to be a cooking. Yeah, it's just like cooking.
Okay.
First, we need to go to the market to buy immigrants, and in this time we have need to select some what we have to roles and others. Then we come back home and start to cook cooking the immigrants. Then we can select some. Then we can make this milk feel more spicy and add some oils and others. And also make up the fryers. It just means that we have to get some prepared and to make the process of to make the immigrants the data more clearly. Then the dish is finished. Then at the end we taste it to find out is there any wrong and others. So it's to start to
I think you use a very good example because just like cooking, that means you have to experience the cooking process on your own by doing it. A lot of time when we think we learn something is by listening to someone. But if I just tell you all the process, just like what Manny had said, we might be disappointed with just by hearing something because we seem to know it. But if we go to the markets, what you said, experience buying the different ingredient put them together like seasoning and cook it, the process will teach us completely different lessons. So I think you have given a very good examples. Discover is actually a learning by doing experience rather than learning by listening. Yes. Anything to add from Thomas? No. Peter? Actually, he had something to add. Yes.
The information competence,
Yes.
and also based on the videos, when we talk about the news, especially I always try to find the different news from different channels, especially CCTV news, and also BBC, CNN,
Right.
Al Jazeera, Russia Today,
Right.
and I agree with him, say that different news, they will tell you sometimes based on the different point of views when they look at the same case.
Right.
For example, that's very simple. When you watch the CCTV news, everything's about China.
Okay.
Everything's good.
Yes.
So then when you go again to Russia Today,
Yeah.
everything about Russia is good.
Right.
But when we look at we watch the Al Jazeera, everything's about Middle East is good. So, and also BBC and CNN,
Yes.
everything's about the West good. So, I mean, sometimes it's difficult. It's difficult to find the accurate information, right?
Right.
That these journalists they report.
Right.
Yeah, but that's why we need to have the competence or the skills or the abilities to differentiate, to collect, and also to manage the information.
Right.
Yeah, that we use for our especially before we consume the news or before we use it.
This is very good.
Yeah. So I mean the different news channels, they have the extent of their point of views that maybe it's the channels, whether it's a company or it's a private estate's owners. So their point of view it depends on also the ideas and the beliefs that each of the states or countries.
Yes, I think you make another very interesting, very good point. We need to have the ability to discover for our own sake whether or not it is accurate or not, right? So, Peter, I just need something first.
No, I think as you mentioned about news, I think the discover, the word just mentioned in the video clips, actually we can use it for our projects. For
Right.
example, I'm studying history is my major.
Right.
While I'm studying the same war, for example, the Sino-Japanese War,
Okay.
which located in 1890 something.
Yes.
If you read something about written by the Chinese, they will believe that the war actually was the invasion by the Japanese.
Okay.
However, if you read something about the Netherlands, for example, from the United Kingdom, the honor of the United Kingdom, as you can see, the war may be not actually just about the invasion of the Japanese.
Okay.
So, what I'm trying to say is that while you're doing some projects, you really have to, while you're searching for some research, you have to really understand the information who has written, the author of
The perspective.
Yes, of course. Moreover, the date also very important because as we all know that the information age, the information changing every day.
Yes.
For example, as we may know that cancer in 10 years ago is not a very special disease. However, today, cancer may be caused by multiple things. For example, the pen will be some plastic, and that plastic may be caused due to cancer. So I think dates were also very important because our information changing days by days.
Yes. One obvious example is the toxic effect of cigarettes. Many people who diagnosed of cancer used to be a cigarette smoker for many years, already stopped smoking. So today we have more information about this habit. In the past, they never say that's a link.
Amelia, sorry, I moved you up. Can you share with us something?
Although the same news, but there are different points of view from different TV.
Right.
Yes, I agree with them. They said that, for example, Japan and China, there are there is a news about these two countries.
They want to have deal with those.
Yes, but they have different point of view because they stand on their
Yes, their point of view or standpoint or historical perspective. Yes. Yes.
So to be a citizen, I think we should to know different point of view, and then also we need to learn the IL skills to
To sort through.
to learn
Yes.
DISCOVER.
The discover. Yes.
Yes.
So as to come to our application, the lessons learned, that is our discovery of the story. So it's very important.
We need to collect all the information and then
Yes.
organize, then we read by yourself.
Okay, thank you, Amelia. Anything to add from your two table colleagues? You want to say something? Okay. Yes, if you want to say something, yes, say it. Yeah, you're very welcome to do that. Yes.
As for the news,
Hello. Yes.
because this newspaper their stance is different.
Okay.
It's different, and maybe some political factors involved. So,
Right.
they may report the same story differently.
Okay.
Like the choice of their rhetorical expression.
Okay.
For instance, just like the attack in Kunming.
Oh,
Then,
yeah. Yeah. Very good
those
example.
American newspapers just reported as an accident, but our newspaper reported as terrorism.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just different. And so I think the verification is very important
Right.
because we have to discover the truth by ourselves
Yes.
and just not listen to the newspapers.
Right. You see, I very much appreciate you put a lot of emphasis on the verifications. That's also the reasons behind discovering plagiarisms a lot of the time, because we want our students to have the ability to distinguish. Okay, thank you very much. Will you pass the microphone to the last table, and then so that I can pass the time to our student to share today. Hello.
Hi, I think that about the news, just like she said about the pumping,
Yeah.
that accident, maybe just it happened in pumping very like a really big problem, and everyone shared it. They go to many countries like Zhuhai, Guangzhou, something like that.
Yeah.
Also happened in Spain, but there's nothing happened there. Just someone shared it fixed. But like we watch the news, we should add our point into this, not just hear someone else.
Yes, we need to look at the facts first. And how do we get the facts? News gathering is one way for the large majority of people to know the facts. We do hope these business of news gathering, particularly performed by the reporters, they have a free hand to do it. Otherwise, we'll always be hidden from the truth, because we never be allowed to do something like this. Well, thank you very much, because I want to reserve enough time for the 3 students today who want to share. So may I invite all of you who want to share to get ready. So may I pass the microphone to Amelia first? You want to share first, and then Julia, and then finally Peter, okay? So, yes, could you pick up the microphone? Yes, Amelia? Thank you very much for your patience. Yes, yes, it's okay. Go ahead, go ahead. Sometimes I have to say that things like this can hardly be taught using PowerPoint. When we talk about discovering information literacy, process etc. uses a huge class. Yeah, it's a very personal process. Yeah. Yeah, we need to have at least the information competency. That means a set of skills that we know where to look for something. And the idea that many people criticize that's happening in China is they could not look at other sources because other people are not allowed to discover. Okay, because they close all a specific channel. We heard about this, and that's what happened in Hong Kong. They're sort of afraid because they're afraid that if they some kind of forces are not allowing them to discover things, we never know the truth, and then people are bound with the truth. Sorry. Hi, Amelia, sorry for that.
Hello. Shall I start?
Yes.
Thank you. After last lesson, we know that what information literacy is. It is an ability to identify what information is needed and to how to solve problems to make decisions. Yes, it is different from the traditional literacy. We just TL is just learned the fundamental skill such as writing, reading, speaking, and listening. Also calculate. We just learn these skills for TL, but now we should learn IELTS skill. Why? What information literacy is important. In 21st century, there is a great deal of information in our life, but not all information is created the same. Some is misleading. Yes, misleading. Some is false. Some is from official. Some is truth. So, to improve our IELTS skills is important. We don't to spend time to how to say it. We don't listen another people said. Yes, we need to think out by ourselves. Yes. Don't work from other things. How to learn these skills? We usually use information IELTS skills for academic purpose, such as do research papers or PowerPoint. The ability is to find, to evaluate, to use, and to share. After that, we need to do a summary. Yes, I give an example. Before the fourth legislative council election, there are a lot of rumors about some groups. To be a citizen in this society, we have to find all the world information, then compare them, and then evaluate what are truth and false. Finally, make a decision by ourselves. Don't vote your important vote in order to some benefits. Yes, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilia. I know you're trying to make a point, of course. It's very, sometimes it's very challenging, and time is pressing. We appreciate your efforts in doing the sharing. Thank you very much. So the second lady, Julia, are you ready? Do you need any help from the computer? So if you want to hold the microphone over there. Yes. Thank you, Julia.
Hello, today I want to share something about not very much, some points. After I have seen some videos for this week. First, the awareness to ask. It's about learning, and it's very important for us to ask questions. Somebody nowadays is not so used to ask questions. Maybe you are doing a project, maybe you are not asking the right question and there is no good outcome. Second, critical thinking is very important. We should break the normal rule. It calls for some creation and innovation. Third, hear your own voice. There are so many other people thinking, but what is your thinking is very important. Then be focused on what you want to learn, not just like the baby that wants to be fed. Just follow the PPT is pretty useless, and it's the ability to learn. There is a saying in Chinese is rather than give you a fish, maybe it's much better to teach you how to go to fish. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julia. I think you make a very interesting point, as I suggest in the reading of the videos today. So let's pass the microphone to Peter first. Peter, thank you very much for your sharing. Hi, Peter. Yes.
Today I want to share you about the information contemporary. For me, the information contemporary should be about what after you collect all of your information, how would you try to use it? Just like, for example, if you want to cook a very adult curry, then you have to go to the wet market to buy some, for example, chilies, beets, everything. So the information literacy is about how do you pick up the good meats and the good vegetables. And the information contemporary is about how to deal with those meats, how to use the spice, how to chop the garlic into pieces, and how do you cook it. And for me, I think the skills of the information contemporary should be more about how to analyze and organizing all those informations. Let me make an example. For example, you should understand how to analyze those numbers, figures, because in my opinion, numbers usually talks more than about words and books. And another example, it should be like while you collected all those information, you have to understand that in each information that contained with different kind of things which would affect on your research. For example, who written all this stuff. And because as we all know that every person got his own perspective and point of views, which makes every single information become a little bit different. And after we collected all the informations, we'll have to understand how to fix it and try to discover the point of view of that information, then you can use it as you wish. And moreover, I believe that after we collected all those informations, we have to not just, we have to make it become logically organized. Because if we, after we collected all those figures, papers, information, it's useless. It's just a bunch of words and figures. So what we have to do is to make it become organized. For example, we should using some kind of techniques to make it become organized, and finally that can transfer into become our own knowledge. I think that is what information consistency means. Thank you very much.
I think you make a very good point. Thank you, Peter. In the past, we believed that learning is coming to the classroom and listen to the teacher, because the teacher is transmitting knowledge into our brain. As long as I heard that, then I will pick it up. But it is not true. What Peter said is we have to go through the process of internalization, which one example is the discovery process, information literacy. I thank you very much for your staying almost to 5 minutes to 7 o'clock today. So I'm looking forward to receiving your submission starting from tomorrow. Try your very best. Even though you may not be able to finish all the items, it's fine, remember. The idea is it's a good measure of your own ability to handle this. It's only 10 points, learning project number 1, okay? 10 points does not mean a lot, but if you have done the work, you will pick up the 10 points, okay? If you've not been able to do the work well, you still have a lot of chance in this course. And the idea is to make sure you pick it up on your own, you got the skill and you got the point. This is called earning your score, okay? All right, thank you very much for coming. That's it for today. The next week. Thank you. That's it for today's CISG 113, Section 1, Information Security and Privacy. Until next week, week number 5, stay tuned.